G'day, welcome to Market Sound After Work. Today I've got a video on a little bit about hand loading, I suppose, or it's about ammo in the way of using your ammo side of things, on hand loaded ammo at least anyway. The other thing I want to do is show a product to you. Now, normally you see all my ammo, you see on the videos and that sort of comes in these little MTM or the case guard plastic boxes, which I do bits and pieces, modify them and make them all suit my ammo. But that's what you normally see. You'll normally see inside my ammo also a little bit of foam inside the ammo case, just to make sure it doesn't rattle around, but nice simple sort of stuff, small and fits into where I go. But that's sort of just the normal thing I use as for what I have been doing for years. The product we've got is this over here. I've got loaded up with the ammo, which is a little thing. I presume they get the box from somewhere else. It's Evolution gear on top here, but the product comes from Spindrift. And in that is a product that looks like this here. It's actually got a nice machined up plate, so of stainless steel plate, and then foam filling all around the place, top and bottom, so that the ammo goes in there nice and neat and tidy. That is all protected, clicks away properly, can't rattle around, so it really looks after your ammo in a nice, I think they do it in black as well, but that's the case I want to show you. The actual thing I want to talk about is nothing to do with the ammo case. Well, I suppose it's a little bit to do with the ammo case. The trick, obviously, with, well, to the largest degree with hand loading is once you've got your powder right and your overall length right and bits and pieces to suit your chamber, you're using the right weight bullet, you're using, well, good bullets and good products for sure. You've got to where you've got a fairly full charge is what I'm generally using, and good pressures, and so right powder, right bullet weight, all those sort of bits and pieces. The next most important thing is keeping things very consistent. So sometimes I'll go as far as weighing brass and getting that the same. Largely good brass, I don't bother with that side of things. I go through and do all my bits and pieces, from unifying the flash hole to making sure the trimming the brass. In some cases I'll go to neck turning the brass if I have, and I suppose this is a little bit of what this is about. One of the things I find is a really important ingredient is getting that pressure of bullet when you actually see it in the bullet and you feel it go in. That goes in smoothly but very, very evenly. That's the key I want to end up with. Now sometimes I'll find that that's uneven because, or too much pressure, and you can use the likes of an expander mandrel to pull it out. In other cases I'll find that the brass is either a little uneven in the neck or it's a little too thick. You know, I want to see down, for me generally there's somewhere between 16 to 14 to sort of 12 thou is what I want to see. Really 14 thou is what I generally would neck turn to, and that's the thickness of the neck of the brass. But sometimes I'm actually getting there, and even sometimes when I've done that, or sometimes I haven't got the right neck turning set up, or it's the first time around I'm loading the brass, and as I'm loading together, I think I got it all good, and as I'm loading together, I find a little inconsistency. I want that to be very smooth. They can all be a little bit tighter, that as long as they're all exactly the same, that's fine. I prefer a little bit smoother, it goes in very easily. I don't crimp, so I want them all very consistent. And when I find that they're not consistent, I could be really going too far about it and then unload everything, do everything, go through neck trim side of things, but I generally want to use that ammo. Time poor like most of us, and I want to use that ammo, so how do I make sense of that? I've got some tight, some loose. How do I make sense of that in the way of being able to hold a really good group and being able to get the most consistent shot after shot that I can get? How do I get around that? And the way I do that is I actually feel them, and if I find that all of a sudden I am starting to get, there's a tight one and then they're okay, and there's a couple of tight ones and then they're okay, or there's a halfway tight one sort of stuff. How do I fix that problem with that load of ammo? Now, in the big picture, yes, all those things, whether it's an expander mandrel or it's neck turning or it's different brass or whatever it is, to fix it properly is the ultimate game. But in the interim, what am I doing? Well, what I do is I'll set up my ammo as it goes into the box. I'll be trucking along with putting one in after the other. I tend to start from one corner and then go in rows across to get to where I've filled up the other end. If I find all of a sudden I've got a tight one, I'm paying attention. Maybe it's a bit of mechanic brain. I'm sure most of us can do this. I feel this one's a bit tighter. Then I go and put that halfway down the box. I just put it by itself halfway down the box and then carry on. And then if I find a tighter one or a looser one, I make sense of that. So if that was even tighter still, okay, then I'll go and put it at the end of the box. If I find that there's one that's only halfway as tight, I'll put it in between. And generally I might need to move those around. That first tight one might be the only tight one. I just put it to the end of the box. But generally what I'm doing is I keep track of, in my head and with my feeling of basically my hand, feeling what that brass felt like as I had that bullet seated like. As it goes in, I have that feeling, and then what I'm aiming for is if I've got some slight irregularities, but I make them so that they feel, and this is just by feeling, but they feel a progressive path down the case, then that's sometimes that's the ammo you see me shooting with. Sometimes that's still holding down half MOA groups at 3,000 meters, because what the other part that's going on is that even when I've done everything, sometimes there'll be a slight inconsistency, and I'm not using the electronic scales to measure that. I'm just using the old fingertips, the hand. But if I can feel that little thing and I can make it progressive, it's just another detail to making sure that, yeah, they're very consistent. Now, obviously, if you're going from one end of the box, or you're random, all that sort of stuff, or you're going for cold bores all the time, that's what you're actually doing, then having them exactly the same is super important. But in the world of, like I said, this is a little bit of make do. You're almost there and all of a sudden find you've got this inconsistency. Or time poor, don't want to do any more, and you do shoot where it is shot after shot after shot. As everyone knows, the conditions, well, I shouldn't say everyone, as shooters who do a lot of it know that the conditions over especially over long range, and even more so over extreme long range, your conditions make more details different than even 20 feet per second speed can make. When you're talking about shooting out to the 2,000 meters and that side of things, and probably to a degree even 1,000. The conditions that are over there are slightly different than conditions here, and that can change your elevation. There's the 12 o'clock, 6 o'clock winds which change things, but also barometric pressures, other bits and pieces when it's far enough away that actually change what's actually happening. So the speed, if they are all alongside each other, as you work through your box, they are only tiny differences between each other, then you'll find real consistency and be able to pull down those very good groups. Anyway, that's just one of those little details that I've always been running with. It's a simple way, or maybe I figured it out, I don't know, 8 years ago or something like that. But it's something that is hidden inside what we do, that keeping that feel consistent, which I see at least translates into a consistency of my groups around target and that side of things. And as for this little ammo case, looks like a pretty nice little thing. You know, it certainly protects your ammo nicely. It's nice and neat and tidy, and see it looks pretty good. So the guys who want to have something at the range, they're not too expensive. I'll put a link on what they are in the way of their site, but it's just a bunch of Aussies or an Aussie bloke who's come up with a nice little ammo thing. I know there's lots of good stuff all over the world. This is their effort at it, and yeah, it looks pretty nice. And it's a nice little sort of little bit like a dolphin thing, but it's yeah, Evolution gear is what's on top there. I don't know the connection there. I should have probably found that out, but that's what the case looks like. There's a sticker. I put it on the front there so you can see it. But yeah, good work, guys. And I just thought I'd show you. Anyway, thank you very much for checking in, and we'll catch you next time.